Hello, this is a video made by the Khartoum Medical Student Association, Secretary of External Affairs, to show students how to apply for the exchange program of 2018-2019. Before we get started, I must mention some major points. First, before applying, you should review the bylaws of the Khartoum Medical Student Association External Affairs Secretary 2018-2019. Also, follow the guidelines for application written in the form or mentioned in this video. You should read everything and give special attention to chapters 3, 4, and 5 of the bylaws. Second, submission of false information of any kind will not be tolerated and will result in the candidate being removed from competition and may subject the candidate to further punishment. Third, you must bring a certificate for any international, regional, or online activity written in your CV, or you will be excluded from competition. Fourth, you should be able to prove the validity of anything written in your CV, as you can and may be asked to prove the validity of a specific point or points during your interview. Let's get started. As you can see, this is the template for your CV as downloaded from the form that was on the initial call for exchange. So first of all, you see this box, leave it empty as it is. It's only for the use of the exchange committee, so don't type anything in there. Just leave that empty as it is. The first section of the CV that we see here is your personal date. Of course, you're going to have to write the date, and your personal data. So your personal data, name, that's as in your passport, gender, age, year in college. I've already filled that one out for you as an example. Year in college, type in your year and your batch number. So for me, that would be 4th year batch 92. Mobile number and email, that's your contact information. Languages, most likely Arabic would be your native, English your second, but if you speak more than that, then go ahead and write in as many as you speak. Experience, IFMSA positions and non-IFMSA positions. By IFMSA positions, we mean international, regional, national, or local positions within the IFMSA organization. So as examples, as you can see, local, who do we mean by local positions of IFMSA? We mean the KAMSA local team, or the Khartoum Medical Student Association local team, and the Rabta. So if you're a member of those, you can type in your position. An example is the Khartoum Medical Student Association LEO, or local exchange officer, and the term or the period during which you held that position. A national example is Medicine Sudan NEO, or National Exchange Officer, for the term of 2014-2015. Locally, that's the KAMSA local team. Nationally, that's Medicine Sudan position. So if you've held a position in Medicine Sudan, type it in national. If you've held a position locally, type it in the local zone. Position in Khartoum University, that is. Regional, an example is the Skopje Regional Assistant for the term of 2014-2015, and international, the position would be Skopje Director for the term of 2013-2014. All of these are examples. If you've held a position that's outside the Khartoum Medical Student Association, the Medicine Sudan, then that's a non-IFMSA position. Type it in here. If you've held a position regionally or internationally, then type it within here. But any position that's outside of IFMSA, outside of Medicine Sudan, outside of KAMSA, that's a non-IFMSA position to be typed here, not over there. Organizing committee in an IFMSA event or a non-IFMSA event. By event, we mean an activity other than a workshop, training, session, or a talk. So anything other than a conference, anything other than a workshop, anything other than training or a session, that's an IFMSA event or a non-IFMSA event. So just to make it clear, anything other than a conference, workshop, training, session, or talk, that's an event. So if you are part of the organizing committee in an IFMSA event, go ahead and write it here. Was it local? Was it national, regional, or international? So guys, just make sure that you type in your activity or your point in the right zone. So if it was a local thing, don't make the mistake of writing it in the national zone, or if it was a national, don't waste the points by writing it in a local zone. Make sure to type it in the correct place. So if you are an organizing committee member of an IFMSA event, then type it in here in the correct spot. If you are a part of an organizing committee in a non-IFMSA event, then also make sure to write in the correct place and type it in. But you'd also have to specify your role. So let's say you were part of a symposium about something, or you were part of an organizing committee for any event, that is. Just type it in the correct place, type in the date, the place, and your role in the organizing committee of that thing. All right? Conferences. By conferences, we mean that they should be at least 36 hours long. Meaning, if they were not 36 hours long, then do not go ahead and write them in here. Try and find the appropriate or suitable place for them. But if they were not 36 hours long or more, then do not write them in here. They will not be regarded by conferences by the exchange committee. All right, so IFMSA conferences including GAs, specify OC or attendee. If OC, specify your role. So basically, you have to fill in the conference. You'd have to type in what was the conference about, the conference's name, where it was, when it was, and whether you just attended or were you part of the organizing committee. And if you were part of the organizing committee, then what was your part? Specify your role. So these are examples. Let's say you attended the last GA of 2017. So you would go ahead and say, I attended the 66th August meeting in Tanzania 2017. Since you weren't an OC member, you won't specify any role. Regional conference, an example is the 9th Africa Regional Meeting in Ethiopia, December 2013. National here is an example of you organizing something. So if you were part of an organizing committee of something and you don't know how to write it specifically, then this is the way. You organized this conference hosted by this place or this university. When was it? October 2017. And what was your role? Because you were part of the organizing committee. So as an example, head of logistics. So let's say you attended a local conference or organized a local conference. An example is the CAMSA Local General Assembly, February 2017. The thing, when it was, and since it was in CAMSA, then that would be where it was, and what was your role in the organizing committee, member of the lodging committee. Non-IFMSA conferences will also be filled the same way. Workshops. A workshop must be at least 18 hours long. So if you've attended something and you thought it was a workshop, or it was a workshop but it wasn't 18 hours long, then do not write it here. Sorry about that. Then do not write it here. For you to type in a workshop here in the CV, for the exchange committee, it must be at least 18 hours long. So the first part says given. Given is for the facilitators. It's for the person who gave the workshop. It's for the person who stood in front of the other people who attended the workshop and gave them the material, gave them the workshop. So if you're one of those, then step right up. This is for you. So you just have to figure out what was your workshop, categorized as national, regional, international, local. Find the suitable spot, type it in. I gave a workshop about this or that at this specific date, at this specific place, and I was the facilitator, so that's good for you. Organized. This means that you helped in preparing the workshop, but you weren't the one to give it. Let's say you were there for lodging or venue management or whatever. So you just helped in the preparation or organization of the workshop, but you weren't the facilitator. So figure out the right spot and type in the title of the workshop, when the workshop took place, where the workshop took place. So if it was at Khartoum University, you type in it was at Khartoum University. When, you just write in the date. and of course the title of the workshop, and then you'd have to add in the name of the facilitator of that workshop. So you'd have to type in their name. Attended, here is an example: international, regional, national, or local. So let's say you've attended this workshop at this specific date, at this specific place, and you'd have to type in the name of the facilitator. In here, I just wrote various because I didn't really want to mention names since it's just a tutorial video. Oh, something about workshops and trainings and sessions and whatever. If you've attended a workshop or a training or some sort of session during a conference, do not go ahead and type that workshop or that training on its own. Do not type it in separately. It will just be considered and regarded as part of the conference. So if you've attended a workshop in a conference, do not type it separately. Do not write it separately. I can't say this enough. Do not write it separately. It will be considered as part of the conference, and it may cause some problem, whether minor or major, for you during your interview. So just make sure not to type in a workshop that you've attended in a conference separately, unless that workshop was either before or after the conference. Saying again, don't type it unless it was pre-conference or post-conference. And if the workshop was pre-conference or post-conference, yes, you can write it separately, but you'd also have to submit the certificate for that workshop to prove that it was pre or post of that workshop, to prove it was pre or post-conference. All right, you'd have to prove it. Trainings should be at least 6 hours, given only for trainers, same way as in workshops. Received, same way as in workshops. You'd figure out where it was, figure out the right spot, type it in, the title, the timing, the place, and the name of the trainer. Note that in Medicine Sudan, we only have national trainings. We don't have local trainings, so don't fall for that just because it was held in Khartoum University. All trainings in Medicine Sudan are national trainings. We don't have local trainings in Medicine Sudan. If you've attended an international training, regional, then go ahead and type that in the right spot. But if you've attended something in Sudan, then it's definitely not local. It's at least a national training held by Medicine Sudan. Sessions should be at least 3 hours long, given for facilitators, organized, that's when you help, and received, that's for the people who attended. Here's an example of a session given locally, the Skopje Newcomers Session, November 2018, Khartoum University. And since you were the one who gave it, you were the facilitator, you won't type in your name. But if you weren't the facilitator, you were just an organizer, you would type it in here and you would type in the name of the facilitator. It's everything that we've already mentioned before. Medical missions. Specify the date, the number of days, group name, and name of the group leader. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but it's because we have to be very specific. All right, so to fill this in, you would type in where the medical mission went to. So this is an example, Sinnar. When, the date, September 2018, that would be the STEP medical mission, if you know. The number of days, it was for 5 days. What was your group name? Group E. What was the name of your leader? His name was whatever. So this is the correct way to fill it. That's for a person who attended it. But for people who organized the medical mission, who do we mean by organize the medical mission? Just so you don't fall for that. By organized, we mean two types of people. The first being Lajnat al-Qafla, the medical mission committee. The second being Wafd al-Muqaddima. Alright? So if you weren't a part of either of those, then do not go ahead and write it as organized. It might subject you to disqualification based on that you submitted false information, or may not. But do not go ahead and write it in organized. I mean, do not say that you helped in organizing a medical mission unless you were a part of Wafd al-Muqaddima or Lajnat al-Qafla. I mean that people who worked in Maktab al-Dawa or Maktab al-Maliya or provided dam for the Qafla, you're not considered as an organizer for the Qafla. You're just considered as an attendee. So type it in here. Organizers are only, I cannot stress this enough, organizers are only لجنة القافلة and وفد المقدمة. Alright, medical days, same way as the medical mission, you have to specify where it went to and the date of that medical day and the number of days of that medical day. I know it sounds odd, but some medical days consist of 3 or 4 days, of 2 or 3 days. And you'd also have to name the head of the medical day. Alright. Talks, organized and attended, same way as everything that we mentioned before. Contact person for incoming exchange students, list first name and last name of student and the date he came in. Alright, in here, you just have to be very specific. Like, don't write something as Pietro. No, you'd have to type in the first name and the last name and when that exchange student was here in Sudan. So for example, if you were an exchange student for a John Hergeta, you'd have to type in their name, John Hergeta, and when that student was in Sudan. So you might say last August, last September, but you'd have to type in the name and the date. So just as an example, I'm going to say John, and let's say, and when were they here? They were here in August 2018. All right, this is the way to fill it in. Scientific papers and researches, specify your role and the journal or conference the paper had been published in. So if you did take part in a scientific paper or a research, type in the title of that thing and specify your role in that thing. Were you a co-author? What were you doing? And when was that paper published and where? So you type in the name of the conference and when and where it was. Okay, clinical attachments. Specify the country, hospital, name of the supervisor, and the duration. That's pretty clear. I mean, other activities with relevance. Other activities with relevance here, you can type in anything that you think is relevant and that you were looking forward to type in, but you didn't find the suitable place up there to write. So just go ahead and use this platform to write whatever thing that you find or think is relative and might help you with your application here. Academic performance. So just type in the grades or results for your subjects that you've already taken. So if you've already taken anatomy, you type in your grade, physiology, and so on. If there are subjects here that you didn't take, then just leave them empty. Like don't do this. Don't put in some sort of dash or slash, or just leave it empty as it is if you didn't take it. Everything else, just put in your grade. And as I said, do not submit false information. Don't be ashamed of yourself. If you passed anatomy, then it's good that you even passed, because anatomy is pretty difficult. So if you've passed and you feel like lying and you put in a distinction, I mean, if you type in a distinction and into جايب boss, then we'll know, because we do have the grades of everyone in Maktab al-Rabta. So don't lie, just type in the grade that you got and hopefully everything will work out right. So don't type in any false information here. Don't type in any false information anywhere. And if you didn't take these subjects, then don't put in anything, just leave it blank and type in the grades of the stuff that you've already taken. Motivation letter. In terms of motivation letter, what we look for is 3 to 5 paragraphs. And in these paragraphs, we look for some things. In the first paragraph, tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are. In the second paragraph, tell us why we should choose you. In the second paragraph, tell us why you want to travel on exchange. Why do you want to travel on exchange? Ask yourself that question and answer it in that paragraph. I don't mean literally. In the first paragraph, tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are. In the second paragraph, type in why you want to go on exchange. And on the third or the paragraph after that, just type in why we should choose you. So Again, first paragraph, write about yourself. Tell us who you are. The paragraph after that, tell us why you want to go on exchange. And the paragraph after that, tell us why we should choose you. And you have to pay attention to your punctuation, to your grammar, and to your spacings and to your paragraphs. So you have to leave an inch before every paragraph and end every paragraph in a full stop. And then you have to take care of punctuation and grammar, because you'll be graded according to that. Okay? Alright. I think we've covered everything. Well, if you have any question or any inquiry, you can contact the Secretary of External Affairs via his email. Again, leave this box empty. And I think we've covered everything. And that is the way to fill in your CV. Alright, let's say you've filled your CV and everything is done. So you should double check it and triple check it just to make sure that you haven't typed in anything wrong, or that there isn't anything in the wrong zone, and so on. So just make sure of your CV, because once you submit it, it's submitted, you know. So anyway, so save your CV on your laptop, because I think my recommendation is better that you apply via your laptop and not via your phone. So anyways, just save your CV and move into the application form. So when you click on the link on the application form, this form would show up. You'd have to read it all through. Again, I can't stress it enough. Read it all through, then press next here, and it will take you to this page. Once you're here, you'll get this. You'll see the amount of contracts that we have. We have 33 contracts in Skopje. This is the distribution of the countries. We have, by the way, we have only 2 contracts in Skori, and we have 33 contracts in Skopje. So pick where you want to apply. You also, as I said, need to review the bylaws and the announcement and the open call for the exchange program applications. You'd have to go through everything just to know everything about everything, because you're responsible for yourself. If you go into the interview and they ask you questions that you should know the answers to, but you don't because you didn't read the application, that's on you. So you have to take care of yourself. So type in your name. Here it says Rubai, and your batch number. Only batches 91 to 93 can do this. And in AF here, add file, and the file you'll add would be the application form that we've just filled in together. So that would be this that you've already filled. Save it as PDF if you can, and you would add it here. You press submit, and you'll move on and finish the whole application form, and that would be it. You would have applied for your exchange program, and then you'd have to go print a hard copy of this, of your CV, the whole thing, all the way to your motivation letter. You'd have to print a hard copy of that and bring that with you to the External Affairs Secretary before the deadline, and then just show up to your interview. Don't miss it, and good luck. We're done with this video on how to apply for exchange.